Hey guys, sorry about that glitch. Welcome back. I'm Craig McGinn, General Manager here at League Apps. And coming up, we have another great panel, hiring and operational success. But first, we're going to welcome back Nick from soccer.com for another round of trivia and a chance to win some more prizes. Nick, over to you.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Hope everyone enjoyed that last session. So we'll take you right in to the next session we have going on, round 2 of trivia about starting 11. So for those of you who didn't play trivia in the first session, there's a couple different ways you can play. Grab your smartphone, scan that QR code in the bottom left of the screen, or you can open a new web browser and go to crowd.live. And then that enter code for this round is NextUp in the number 1. So it'll then take you into a screen where you enter your first and last name. Once that is completed, you will see this waiting screen that you currently see up on your screen. So with that, I will read each question. After I finish the questions, the answers will pop up. The quicker you answer the correct answer, the more points you get. So correct answers are good, but fast correct answers are even better. The first, second, and third place winner of this round will receive a soccer.com gift card, as well as the overall winner from round 1 and round 2. All right, so I am gonna start this trivia right here. Everyone on their screen should see a little countdown, counting down from 10. All right, and here we go with question 1 of round 2. In this next workshop titled You're Starting 11, which of the following topic or topics will be covered? Is it A, hiring and operational success? B, how to juggle a soccer ball? 3, pros and cons of a 4-4-2 formation? Or D, all of the above? All right, I hope everyone got this correct. I made it kind of easier for everyone. So that question is A, hiring and operational success. So on to question 2. What former U.S. men's national team player has the most appearances in England's top division? I'll give you a hint. It was a goalkeeper. Was it A, Casey Keller, B, Tim Howard, C, Brad Guzan, or D, Brad Friedel? Remember, quicker you answer the question, the more points you get, better chance of winning this round. All right, so the answer for this one is D, Brad Friedel. And then the last question of a round 2, here we go. Which MLS player has the most minutes in MLS history? He's played a total of 46,336 minutes, which equals to a little bit over a month. So definitely had a good run. Is it A, Kyle Beckerman, B, Nick Raimondo, C, Chad Marshall, or D, Kevin Hartman? All right, an answer for that one would be B, Nick Raimondo. All right, so we'll go to the leaderboard. Brandon, first place. Brent, second place. And Blake, third place. We'll go to the overall leaderboard. Blake, you are taking home the champion of Top Dog today. So congratulations on that. That will end up round trivia. I'm going to pass it back over to Craig, and he will get you into the next workshop.
Thanks, Nick, and congrats to our winner. Next staff will be in touch to help you claim your prize. So over to our next panel, You're Starting 11, tips for hiring and operational success. And I'm pleased to introduce our moderator, Louise Waxler, the Executive Director of McLean Soccer. Welcome, Louise. Thank you for joining us today.
Aha, here we are. Thanks, Craig. Thanks for the invite.
You're welcome.
I'm excited to be on. I think we have an incredible panel. I'd like to welcome everybody to the NextUp Soccer Summit. And I'm going to take a few minutes here and do a couple of introductions. Our panelists today Lesle Gallimore, Lisa Levine, and Chuck Ervin. I've known two of these three astute individuals for a number of years. So this is great fun for me to be able to work with them virtually. I haven't seen them in I don't know how long. So welcome, Lesle, Chuck, and Lisa. I'm going to start out with my good friend, Lesle Gallimore, who really is the person that got me involved in all of this about 25 years ago. I keep telling Lesle that paybacks are hell, but she's the best. So Lesle was named the commissioner of the Girls Academy League in June of 2020. As the former University of Washington women's head coach for 26 seasons, Lesle is one of the most outstanding collegiate coaches in America. She has impacted athletes, coaches, and fans across the globe as one of its great leaders in the sport. Additionally, Lesle has worked as an assistant coach and head coach at the U.S. women's national team and youth national team levels, and continues to serve as a national instructor. And I have to say that Lesle, 2 years ago, completed her term as, I believe, maybe the 6th female president of United Soccer Coaches. So kudos to my buddy.
Thanks for having me, Louise.
Yeah, it's great to have you. So I think we'll start with Lesle on the questions, but let's go for the further introductions. Lisa and I just really met each other, I think about a week ago, albeit she's been with the NWSL since its inception. And Lisa is the general counsel for the Women's League. As we know, it's the only sanctioned pro league in the United States. And I read today some really great things are happening with the league, with sponsorship and growth and new teams. So it's really exciting. But embarking in its 9th competitive season in 2021, Lisa was part of the team that formed NWSL in 2012. Prior to her position with the organization, Lisa served as general counsel to the United States Soccer Federation, as we all know, the governing body for the U.S., the national governing body of the sport. And Lisa is a graduate of Virginia Tech, the College of William and Mary, and Syracuse University. So welcome, Lisa.
Very much. And thank you for having me here today.
Yeah, it's great. And then my friend Chuck, where everybody spends thousands of dollars at soccer.com every year. You've come a long way from those early days of the green and white bags. Help me out, Chuck. You're on mute here.
TSI Soccer, many moons ago.
TSI Soccer. That's correct. You and Durwood, right? Always part of the crew.
That's right.
So Chuck is the vice president of team sales for soccer.com. 30 years experience in supporting youth soccer organizations with uniform needs, event support, and business guidance. Today, his team supports over 1,300 soccer clubs and 300,000 players across North America. That is really quite impressive. And I had no idea that you had 4 children and were happily married. Good job, Chuck. So let's start here with Lesle. So Les, questions for you. In mid-April, the midst of our pandemic that rocked our world, the U.S. Development Academy ceased operations. Immediately following that announcement, a new league, the Girls Academy, appeared on the youth landscape. In May of that year, you were named the league's first commissioner. Talk about going from one high-level position to another. So from an HR perspective, I understand that there are only 3 employees managing the Girls Academy. And given you managed to organize a showcase event, which was during the snowstorm in Austin, Texas, how did you facilitate the operational elements for such an event with limited staff? And do you envision growing your base as the league expands?
Yeah, we are. We were a league born out of necessity, and first of all, thank Chuck. He's soccer.com is one of our partners in the Girls Academy, and without our partners, we would literally be nowhere. We've been very, very fortunate to have some strategic partnerships that believe in girls, and along with our board of directors, really in short order, did an amazing job of putting this league together in a pinch isn't even the word. It was it was a scramble again during the pandemic, and these kids, their lives were turned upside down, which is why I kind of got much like I roped you into being on the women's committee, Louise. I got roped into being the commissioner of the Girls Academy, but out of passion, really. So for us, we've been for almost a year now, a small but mighty organization. And as any startup, you want to start up diligently. We've had a board that was way more operational than strategic out of necessity. So a lot of academy directors basically doing double duty. They're coaching jobs with their academies, and then their passion to make sure that they had a livelihood still was to be on the board of directors, write our frameworks, and basically hire me and gain membership from the clubs that had been dropped from the DA, plus some other clubs. So it was interesting. In order to, run events, I think about a month into my hire, I hired a director of operations. And then about a month later, we hired a director of events. So those are the two other positions in the league right now. We certainly are going to look to expand. But the most important thing for us was to be able to have people who knew how to do heavy lifting. What was key. We wish we had a starting 11. Right now, we're just 3 of us looking for some more teammates. But it was people that had been in the game. So Amber Klimek, our director of operations, had worked with the Red Stars. She'd worked in Major League Baseball with the White Sox. And just from a processes standpoint, it was unbelievable for me, being in a very, very new world, to have someone who could come in, hit the ground running, and absolutely knew how to help from the beginning. I mean, a new league and getting kids registered and getting the league up and running. We were able in the fall of the pandemic to play, I want to say 1,200 games. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that within a very, very short period of time, our director of operations was able to come in and just streamline things. Not a lot of sleep, but we were able to get things up and running and make sure that these kids had a playing experience where they were allowed to play. And then we brought on a director of events shortly thereafter who had experience with U.S. Soccer running events in the Development Academy, had experience running events with his father on the East Coast in some events, running youth tournaments with EDP. And again, just people who are willing to do the heavy lifting along with our board. And so my mom always taught me that you have to be willing to do what everybody else on the staff is willing to do. You can't just kind of sit above everyone else and point and delegate. You have to be able to get down and dirty. So when we did finally get our first event underway in Texas, right before the ice storm hit and the power grid went out, we were there all lending a hand. So it's been a really great learning curve. And if we could do it with this number of employees, as well as we have over the last 9 to 10 months, it's really bodes well for the future as far as how I think we're going to grow our organization.
Yeah, that's great. I think we spoke when you were in Austin, and here was this massive ice storm that came through right in the middle of your very first showcase, right? It was the first event for the league.
It was.
Yeah, crazy.
We got 3 days in, and then 3 days turned into about a week for about 7 or 8 teams that were trapped there along with me. But we're resilient. It wouldn't be the GA if there wasn't an obstacle. So we've learned really quickly how to overcome.
Yeah. So Les, what do you think? What was your greatest challenge in determining how you were going to manage and set criteria for acceptance into the league, especially during a national lockdown?
Yeah, I think the thing that was sort of one of the holdovers from the DA was this idea that the standards, the people loved being in the Development Academy because it was standards based. And I think that was it. It was to find academy directors with coaching staffs, with academies that really had the holistic philosophy in teaching, in developing the player and the person. and to make sure that the game itself was taught in a way that would develop players who could go on to be great collegians, that could go on to be national team players, and that were put in environments where certainly learning how to compete is important, but at the same time, learning the game the right way is important. So, the standards-based criteria was probably at the forefront. And again, a scramble because kids thought they had no clubs. People thought clubs were going to fold. So it was a matter of working, really quickly to try to put a product out there that people could hold on to and believe in and knew it was going to last and sustain. And I think that's been the biggest triumph, is to know, 2 weeks away from the anniversary of the DA dropping, that the GA is here and we're not going anywhere.
Yeah. So question related to that. Do you believe that not having the ability for teams to begin league play immediately during COVID was an advantage in setting your strategic direction for the league?
I think it bought us some time, for sure, and I think that this group, again, they started up in April, May, and technically I was hired in July and I started August 1st. I worked all of July, but I did start August 1st. And it gave us some time to strategize, to try to figure out a number of different things, including how we wanted to build our staff from the beginning in a way that we could build upon later down the road, and what what we needed to prioritize basically within our staff. So I do think it gave us some time to figure some things out before we had to hit the field running, so to speak. But even with that said, it was drinking through a fire hose for a good 4 or 5 months. Things were happening at a pace that I was not used to, but I quickly learned to become used to.
Well, I think it's awesome what you're doing. When I first learned that you were the commissioner, all that I could think of was that they were in great hands. So I commend you for what you're doing, and I'm one of your biggest cheerleaders. So despite I'm in a club with ECNL, I will always support you, Leslie. You know that.
I know. There's plenty of room for us both, Louise.
Yes. Do we have any questions? Anybody want to shoot some questions over to Leslie? Okay.
Perfect.
There you go. So thanks, Les. Appreciate it.
Of course.
So Lisa, you're up and you're on mute, so we need to get you live here. What an exciting time for the NWSL. Having been in 2 leagues, the WSA and WPS, at the end of that second league, I was like, I'm done with for-profit professional women's soccer. I'm going back to the grassroots. What I love about the NWSL is watching it grow and sustain itself. But reading now this morning with a potential jersey sponsor for the entire league and all of the new teams that are coming on board, you guys are doing an incredible job. And, I guess my first question to you is, can you give us your insight into what you believe allowed for the success of the NWSL, given the first 2 leagues suspended operations after 3 years?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's almost a little bit of a joke within the league that after we got to our 4th season, it was never just our 4th season, it was our historic 4th season. But I mean, you're right. We did have the 2 predecessor leagues with LUSA and with WPS, and it's unfortunate that neither one of them played beyond 3 seasons. I think maybe what happened with our league was, just a confluence of some really amazing circumstances and a lot of support. And by that, what I mean is when NWSL was founded, the U.S. Soccer Federation was instrumental in its formation and in helping to administer the league, both financially and administratively. When we were founded at the end of 2012 and then subsequently began our first year of competition in 2013, we were actually fortunate enough to have 3 national associations supporting NWSL. There was U.S. Soccer that was doing it through paying some of their, quote, allocated player salaries directly, and through a lot of administrative support, including housing the league for the first couple of years. There was also the support of Canada Soccer, paying the salaries of its allocated players. And both of those two federations continue to do so through today. And also for the first 2 years of the league, we also enjoyed the support of the Mexican Federation, which also provided the salaries for its players in the league. And what that allowed the league owners, the team operators to do is take the investments that they were going to be making in those player salaries and invest them elsewhere in the league with respect to facilities, with respect to staff, a lot of other places that, of course, needed the investment. And, I think it was instrumental to help get this league launched and to set us on this course, this trajectory that we've been on, where we have kicked off our 9th season. Our preseason began on February 1st, and it's still an amazing thing to say that we are entering our historic 9th season. But I feel that we really would not have been in the position that we're in now without the support of those 3 federations in the beginning and the continued support of Canada and U.S. Soccer today. And, again, I'd be remiss if I didn't note that we do receive a tremendous amount of support from the U.S. Soccer Federation.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. When it did launch with the three groups, 3 countries all supporting each other to make sure that there was some type of sustainable model with our athletes going forward. So from a personnel perspective, there have been various leaders at the helm, along with various investor groups. What tools are in the tool chest helping you and those leaders manage the league, not only to keep it sustainable, but to expand its growth going forward?
Yeah, so it's an interesting setup for this league. And again, I think it's something that's really helped us to become sustainable to where we are today and allowed us to get here. But for the first 8 seasons of this league, we had a management agreement with U.S. Soccer. I mean, this was some of the support that U.S. Soccer provided to the league. And, one of those things was acting as the manager of this league. That agreement expired at the end of last year. And throughout that, we've been able to really take advantage of leadership with respect to U.S. Soccer. And we've also had some fantastic leaders at the helm of the league itself and within our team operator groups. And so by that, I mean, we first had an executive director who was helming the league. That was Cheryl Bailey, who was with us for 2 years and who was, instrumental again with the launch of this league. And then after Cheryl, we saw Jeff Plush as the commissioner of the league for 2 years. Following Jeff, we had Amanda Duffy, who by the time that she had left us to go to one of the teams, she was acting as president of the league. And then with a tremendous change, which we're reaping the benefits of this change now. But last year in March, saw us with a commissioner again, with Lisa Baird. And it was a very instrumental time for the league, not just because of the confluence of COVID happening, this pandemic. And it was literally 2 days after our commissioner took the reins that she had to make the decision to shut down the league due to COVID. And we had to regroup and figure out which way to move, what was going to happen. We wound up having a very, very interesting year last year, being the first domestic team league back into action in the United States. It garnered us a lot of media attention, a lot of press, tremendous ratings for us. But she's also been able to really partner us up with a lot of fantastic entities like what you were referring to earlier, Louise. But coupled with that, we've got very, very committed owners of the league. These are the folks who are the team operators. They're also the owners of our league. I mean, we clearly would not be where we are today without their commitment and their investment in the league and their facilities and the players and their commitment to the sport. So, it's been an interesting journey over the last 9 years. We've seen some team operators come, some go, but we've got, when you boil it down, a just tremendously committed group of owners that are committed to the sport, committed to this league, committed to the players, and committed to keeping this league the premier league in the world.
Yeah, you know, I thought about having lived through the demise of two leagues and 9/11 in particular, which was WUSA, right? We were off to a great start, and then 9/11 happened, and all the sponsorship dollars went away. And back then, I was with the Freedom back then, the Washington Freedom, and we were drawing about 65 to 7,000 spectators in a 52,000 seat stadium, right? So while we thought we were doing well, we were in obviously the wrong venue. But I know how we struggled, and I know how quickly the league expended the funds. So when COVID hit, for me, it was like a flashback, like what was going to happen to this league, particularly with investors, owner investors. And I'm wondering if you could just talk a little bit about how the league managed to survive during the past year.
Yeah, it's an interesting journey, a tremendous, and you know, obviously something that nobody anticipated, but you know, we were able to survive by, frankly, being able to pivot very quickly, being small enough to be able to regroup. We, you know, as soon as COVID hit and we realized that we weren't going to be able to move on, we started working with the medical task force to come up with protocols that would allow us to return to training and eventually return to the field. We came up with protocols with our medical task force for everything from how to clean, sanitize, and disinfect to what's the appropriate PPE, you know, what kind of masks, et cetera, what's a testing protocol and a testing cadence. And at the same time that we were working with our medical task force, which had representatives of all of our clubs on that task force, and also working with US Soccer's chief medical officer, at the same time we were doing that, we were trying to figure out what could a competition look like? What could we do, knowing that the paramount important item is the safety of our players, the safety of our team staff, the safety of the league staff. And so that was how this bubble concept that we wound up doing in Utah last June and July, that was how that came about. But throughout all of that, one of the things that was of utmost importance to our ownership was ensuring that player compensation under their player agreements, that player compensation would continue. And it was a unanimous decision of our owners to ensure that player compensation, you know, was not going to be reduced due to the pandemic. It wasn't going to be cut, but it was instead, it was guaranteed that the player comp would continue through the year. And so again, it was just a lot of people working very, very hard together, including with our Players Association, with whom we had very regular discussions about, you know, are these protocols going to be sufficient? Are they understandable? Are players comfortable? It allowed us to put on the tournament that we did in Utah, marking our return to sport.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, obviously we wish you the best. You know, I'm a huge proponent of the women's game, and it's exciting for the future and for, you know, for me and being in the youth game now, the role models and the pathway forward for all of these kids. So thank you for all that you do, and all the best in the upcoming season.
Thank you.
It'll be fun to be back, hopefully back in the bleachers and stands.
Hopefully.
So, okay, Chuck. How are
I'm
you
doing great. It was awesome listening to Lisa and Leslie. They do so much. It's really cool to be on the panel with them.
Yeah, so soccer.com, right? Amazing. I know it was a struggle this past year in the retail business. So tell us what 2021 looks like with the supply chain. I mean, we're ordering, it's a buy year for us. You better have our uniforms in stock. So just saying, Chuck.
Yeah, I mean,
let us know what happened.
I think last year, I think everybody experienced it. It was crazy. Would we ever play again? And we went from managing a business 9 months out to managing a business really 7 days out. And then it came back to life, at least in some areas of the country. And so, first thing I would say is that the players never didn't engage. I mean, we obviously have a fairly large social following, and they just loved the sport and they just wanted to get back on the field. As we move into 2021, the challenges are different. It's not when will they play. It's when are they going to be able to play. And so, as a business, we've taken an approach to control what we can control and solution the rest. Simple to say, a little bit more challenging to do. We are expecting and seeing supply chain challenges across the country. And obviously the Suez Canal was all over the news, but it was way worse. It was way struggle before that. I mean, I think the manufacturers shut down the ability to produce product, the ability to move products across the world slowed down, the ability to get it into the marketplace across the entire retail sector, not just sports, kind of almost came to a grinding halt. And turning that machine back on has been interesting. And I think what we're seeing, and I think we'll continue to see through 21, is a demand for flexibility, right? I mean, the kids want to play, and our job is to get them what they need to play. Most of our major brands really had three major issues as well. One is, can they produce the product? And two, can they get it in the marketplace? And three, how much to make? I mean, I think most product is made 90 days, 120 days, or longer in advance. And so in October, how do you make a purchase for April in this current climate? I think it was very, very difficult to forecast. Would we be playing? Would we not be playing? And so, our partnership with them was very much as grassroots as you can get. It was to the level of who's playing, where they're playing, by zip code, by elite or non-elite level play, and try to filter that back to our brands so they can take risk and we could take it with them. We've been pretty fortunate that our partnership with them will allow that product to get to us in some places quicker than anywhere else, because we're able to kind of bring it to us directly, which cuts out time. But certainly I expect challenges of product flowing in, Louise. Not for you. You'll have everything you need, but other people may experience some challenges.
Can I give your number to the members?
Part of our challenge is to communicate to the members, right? This is what you should expect. Another challenge which people don't understand, especially in this community where a lot of it's outside, all the workforce that has to come inside to put numbers on shirts or to ship product, they don't want to come to work in some cases because it's concerns. So even the hiring part of getting people to the building and doing the work has become challenged. Really what we have done is created a process we call Match Ready. And we're working exceptionally closely with our clubs to understand when they'll go live. Understand patience is going to be important. Flexibility is going to be important. We may not be able to get exactly what they want, but we can move them to something that will work. Our goal is to get that done in advance of mom and dad showing up to get their uniforms. Really the message started probably 6 months ago to our customers. Have flexibility, be aware, be honest with us. I mean, what does it look like? Because we can plan to that. And I think we've really spent a lot of time doing that. But ultimately, our job is to get the kids back on the field, and they want to be there. So, we're super excited to play that role. As I sit and listen to really all the sessions and all the attendees here, we have an amazing industry, and you guys should be very grateful for what you've created, because I think we're glad to be a part of it. But the love of the sport is felt across the country, and we're hopeful to be able to activate it with you.
Yeah, well, thanks. I think about when I first visited soccer.com. Well, not the first time, maybe the second or third. The first time was the little office space, and then it grew. And maybe you can share with everybody exactly how massive that facility is. How many square feet?
Yeah, I mean, we have really two office spaces. We have a warehouse, which is about 220,000 square feet of space. And we send a lot through that warehouse. And then we have another office, maybe 10 miles away from our facility, that housed about 400 employees, not today. Now most are remote, but housed about 400 employees. But for us, the ability to service the market, we've continued to grow and we've continued to invest to be able to do that. It's a pretty cool.
Yeah, well, during the season or leading up to the season with all the distribution, I believe you back then had indicated that there were up to 700 employees that were working in that warehouse, that were pickers and branding and shipping. And during COVID, I mean, how was your workforce reduced?
It was interesting. I mean, all of our, what we'll call admin went remote. I mean, we went from having 400 people coming to work every day to 10, and how to support all of that. But our warehouse staff was over 3 shifts. And again, like everybody, the sport stopped. So we had to consolidate to 2 shifts and then to 1 shift to be able to support the work that we had. And then the ability to turn that back on has been a challenge. We have to bring in about 900 employees during the summer to support our volume. And this year, you have to have not only the 900 employees, but a safe place to put them, a clean environment like everybody else, check temperatures, make sure we don't have a risk in the environment. Masks are being worn and a constant monitoring of that, cleaning of equipment, cleaning of supplies. So, like everybody, we had to do the same thing. So, what I would say is going remote was probably the most significant challenge is how do you keep people engaged? How do you keep them in your culture? We are very much let's grab lunch and catch up, pat each other on the back and probably like most work cultures, one day we were doing that, and then the next day we were remote. So the ability to transfer information to our employees became vital. We went from being able to pass in the hallways to having to send communication out about the health of the company, the health of the industry, the issues that are in the marketplace with our brands. And make it so that everybody was able to hear and see the same thing, which was an interesting challenge for us. The other thing that we had to do was we actually started creating committees, not because we needed the task of that committee always, but because we needed engagement. And so we would normally make decisions with 1 or 2 people and kind of push it out. Now we're making decisions as 15 people in a group, really so that people can engage and be heard. And really what we've learned is the collaboration on that has been phenomenal for us. And the employee morale has been great because of that.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. I have a couple of questions that people have written in, and feel free, any of you, to answer. How do you all think about partnerships when it comes to operations running smoothly and developing a strong pipeline for recruitment?
I was going to tackle the second one on there, Louise, and I don't know how much time we have left, but one of the things about being a startup league and the onboarding process. So I'm just going to skip that one because it really resonated with me. And onboarding new employees, I think back to, I tell people all the time, I'll always be a coach. So, processes in your coaching are huge. So having processes in place and being process oriented is, I think, key to everything, processes and communication. So the onboarding piece for us has been, even though we, again, we're a small operation right now, we've been able to hit the ground running because I feel like we've really communicated well with one another, and that we've been able to build our own processes. So we're not coming into something that's already preset, that we've been able to determine our processes in our league the way we want them to be. And so it's been almost easier. And I think, a year in now, you always go back and reflect which processes work and which ones need to be tweaked. But that is the key, is having processes that a new employee can come in and sort of seamlessly start, again, not to derail the operation. So you're not spending a lot of time trying to train someone up to the point that, you work stops, so to speak. So processes are big.
I mean, I would just echo that. I mean, we have, simple 25-point checklist for a new hire, which get them a computer, get them a phone, get them a workstation, but lunch and learn with a leader, mentoring program so that they can job learn with a partner, a 30, a 60, a 90-day check-in. That's a survey. That's the same questions. Really, because I think it's important to the new employee is they're scared on day one, and we try to make it so that, day 90, they are pretty much immersed in the culture. Remote has been a little bit more challenging there, but the process is the key.
Yeah. Well, look, I know that we've got another session coming on board soon. So I just simply want to thank all of you for taking the time out of your crazy COVID schedules for probably, I'm going to check how many Zoom calls I've been on since March of 2020. Many more than I'd ever hoped to be. So thank you. All the best in the coming year. And hopefully we can reconnect at another time off Zoom. So I'm going to turn this back over to Craig. Again, thanks for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this summit and get to interview some amazing people here.
Thanks
So
for having us, Louise.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you,
Yep.
Louise. Lisa, Chuck, and Leslie, thank you for that tactical conversation. One of the great things about this particular platform is you can now, hopefully, you're willing to find your way back to a table and continue to stay with us today. We did have some questions we couldn't get to, so hopefully it's an opportunity to engage with people beyond your panel presentation, which was really, really informative. Thank you for that, and thank you for everything you do to grow the game. So right now, we are going to continue with a quick tech talk series and a message from Aaron Nagel. Aaron is the CEO of the Colorado Rapids Youth Soccer Club, an organization that serves 10,000 players a year. And Aaron and his team have built a data and analytics program that would rival any organization globally. They focus on capturing joy, participation, and performance metrics via data. And in just the short years, they've seen a huge positive spike in enjoyment, retention. And at the core of this, they now better understand their membership. And they've been very deliberate about implementing calculated change. So let's hear from Aaron on how he did it. Thank you, Aaron, for sharing that knowledge with us. Before we head into our next break, it's time for some fun stuff. It's raffle time. And we have 3 incredible prizes to give away. The first 2 prizes come courtesy of soccer.com, a signed US women's national team jersey from Carly Lloyd, and a Manchester City team jersey signed by the entire 2019-2020 squad. Our third prize is an annual subscription to the Techni Football app, valued at $279. And this will give you and your players access to weekly training sessions created by professional players and coaches, as well as the ability to track your progress on leaderboards worldwide. So let's see who wins. I'm going to look at my notes here. And as Aaron's video was playing, we selected for the Carly Lloyd jersey from Michigan Jaguars, Shahad Farahani. Congratulations. That's an awesome prize. We hope that it will find pride of place in your office or at home. And a member of our staff will be in touch to help you collect that prize. Next up, the Manchester City jersey. Hopefully we've got a few Manchester City fans in here, and the winner is from Spokane Rapids, Michael Wivkovich. Sorry, Michael, I think I got your name right. Michael Wivkovich from Spokane Rapids, congratulations. And likewise, a member of our team will be in touch to make sure you can collect that awesome prize from soccer.com. And lastly, we have our year's subscription to Techni Football, which goes to, from the Chicago Fire, Jamie Lyons. Congratulations. That's an awesome prize that hopefully you and your players will utilize throughout this coming year. A big thank you to soccer.com and Techni Football for providing them their awesome gifts and prizes for our raffle. Now it's time for the networking break, and we encourage you to visit different tables and meet different fellow attendees. You can also hop between floors if you've seen that in the remote platform. Most people are on floor 1, but there are some people on floor 2 and floor 3. We'll post a series of questions to help stimulate some conversations, and we'll see you guys back here at 3:15 for our next session on marketing and member engagement. So please enjoy the next 20 to 25 minutes, get some refreshments, enjoy your networking, and we will catch you back at 3:15. Thank you, everybody.